Recruitment's never been easy, but right now it's downright weird. So let me take you through the 5 biggest challenges facing recruitment consultants and how to overcome them. My name's Stephen Long. In the last 20 years, I've trained over 50,000 recruitment consultants, and I've also built and sold my own search firm. So I've been there, done that, got that t-shirt. So when we're looking at the most challenging of situations at the moment for recruiters, the techniques and advice I'm going to give you are based on what actually works, and that's going to be important for you. So before we crack in and dive into all the good valuable stuff, please remember to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so that you get notified of when the next video is coming out, because there'll be lots more hugely useful and beneficial stuff coming through for you. Please watch through to the end, because I've got particularly important bits right at the last couple of minutes, and also something as a bit of an extra for you. So please watch through to the end. Biggest problem for people at the moment, I think, is the fact that there's just too much noise in the marketplace. If you just think about the UK as an example, there's give or take about 175,000 recruitment consultants in the UK, working with about 50,000 recruitment firms, which is a lot of people, and that covers every conceivable niche, sector, industry, specialization, and it's a lot of noise going on because that's a lot of people splashing around in the same candidate pool. It's a lot of people trying to talk to the same companies, and that noise makes it incredibly difficult to stand out. So what's the solution? Well, I'll tell you, it's to stop selling recruitment services. What? That's what I get paid for. What? What are you talking about? Stop selling recruitment services and start selling solutions to problems. Your clients are not paying for recruitment services. They're paying for the right people in the right role to make their lives easier and make them more money. Your candidates aren't engaging with a recruitment service. They're engaging with somebody who'll get them a job that's fulfilling and interesting and rewarding and all the stuff that we as human beings want. So all of your engagement in the market, all of your communication in the market should not be about recruitment, unless you're in the rec-to-rec market, in which case talk about recruitment all the time. But if you're selling to IT companies, manufacturing industry, financial services, investment banks, the public sector, whatever, what they want to know is that you understand their situation, their business, their company, their problems, and that you're able to help them solve them. So in your social media, in your Facebook groups, in your chat rooms, everywhere, focus on their industry and their problems. If you look at LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn every day, I'm sure most of you probably are as well. You see all these job posts with people going, I'm looking for this, I've got this opportunity, I'm looking for that candidate. Really? You know, are candidates going onto LinkedIn randomly looking for job posts? I don't think so. Are companies going, oh, look, somebody's recruiting exactly the same role I'm recruiting for. Oh, I must give them a call. I don't think so. Talk about your customers or your potential customers' problems and how you can solve them. But particularly, answer their questions. Talk to them about their industry, their situation. Rough rule of thumb, you should probably put out 1 marketing post for every somewhere between 5 and 10 industry posts. And it's not your industry, it's their industry. That way, you stand out as the person who knows their business. And if you know their industry and if you know their business, they'll just kind of assume that you know your business. So stop selling recruitment services, start selling solutions to your industry's problems. Second big issue, when I started doing some research for this particular video and did a survey, the thing that came out top was hiring managers being too picky. and acting too slowly. Now, I'm not actually sure that's quite what the situation is. I think what it actually is that too many hiring managers have a decision-making disorder, or a DMO. And that DMO is not based on the fact that they can't make decisions, because, you know, they're a manager in an organization. They probably make decisions left, right, and center every day. But the reason that people don't take decisions when it comes to hiring is two different things. The first is lack of clarity. They don't know who they're looking for or why. In oh so many cases, you know, they've got a job to fill, but they're not really sure who they want for it, what they want for it. They've got the job spec, they've got the organisation chart, but they're not really sure who or why. And the second is fear. Fear of looking stupid, fear of making a mistake, fear of missing out, FOMO. And that last one is why you'll get a lot of hiring managers go, oh, that candidate, they're brilliant, they're fantastic, they're absolutely perfect for us. Can I just see another couple of CVs? Number of times I told you people who've heard that. Now, is that true? Well, if they tell you that, it's one of two things. It's either fear of missing out, or they're very politely saying, yeah, they didn't hit the mark. They're not actually what we're looking for, but I'm being polite because I want to keep you engaged. So I said there were two reasons for this decision-making disorder. Fear of missing out, fear of looking stupid, fear of making a mistake, and lack of clarity. So what I would do is two things. The first is make sure that when you're getting the specification, you're not just getting a list of skills, you're not just getting a list of requirements, you're not just getting the job spec. What you're getting is, how will they know that they've found the right person? Literally that question. How will you know that you found the perfect person for this role? Because then you get more than just the job spec. That gives you the specification of the kind of person and how to present them. And on the other side, the trick is to make the fear of not filling the role greater than FOMO or fear of putting the wrong person in it. So ask questions about what happens if this role isn't filled, what happens if you don't have somebody in it for another 3 months, how much money will it cost you, how much money will you miss out on. Think about the consequences of not putting somebody into that role. And the combination of those two things will give you the ability to match the person and how to present that person, and also create a desire to get the deal done. So overcome their fear by making them more afraid of not putting someone into the role, and make sure you know exactly who and why and how they'll know that they're the right person. That's the way to overcome that one. Third one is kind of allied to it, which is that you've got a weird market at the moment, and great candidates are almost certainly getting several offers, or at least working several opportunities. And the challenge is, again, similar to the previous ones in terms of making your opportunity stand out and making sure that they accept your client's offer instead of somebody else's. Well, how do you do that? The way you do it is to loop back to the question I asked in the previous example. Really, really early stage, like way before first interview. You've got a great candidate on board. Just ask them this question. Mr. and Mrs. Ms. Great Candidate, Dick, Jane or Spot, how will you know that you found exactly the right role for you? And they'll be all fluffy and woolly. Don't let them get away with it. Yeah, but how will you know? What is it? What is it that will tell you that this is exactly the right role for you? And there's no point talking to anybody else. And whatever their answer is to that question, do it. And coach your client to do it. Because the answer to that question, how will you know you found the perfect role for you, is how you stand out from all the other firms and all the other agencies and all the other offers to make sure that really good candidates end up with really good opportunities with you in the middle. Fourth one, forgive me, I'm about to swear. Counter offers. No, it's like a vampire movie, and it's like, get thee behind me. Counter offers. If you've got a good candidate and you, for a moment, think that their current firm in this market is not going to put a counter offer in, you're either deluded or unrealistically optimistic or just plain stupid. No, a good candidate is going to get a counter offer. It's just inevitable. But, and this is the good news, my recruiting friend, there's ways of overcoming it. And the most important way of overcoming it is rehearsal. So right at an early stage again, you see, the worst way to handle a counteroffer is to wait till there's a counteroffer, because by then it's too late. If your candidate comes to you and says, I've had a counteroffer, well, if they're coming to tell you about it before they start at your client's job, that means they've decided to accept it. They'll only come to you before they start if they're staying where they are. If they've decided not to accept the counteroffer, they'll tell you about it at some point in the future. So, really early stage, you do not ever wait until you've got a counteroffer to try and deal with it. Way too late. Pre-deal with it. And the way to do that is just rehearsal. So right at an early stage, look, you're going to get a counteroffer. You know it, I know it. Let me just ask you a question. When you get a counteroffer, what are you going to say? And the more realistic, the more genuine you can make that rehearsal. No, you're not going to say that. What are you actually going to say? Who is it you're going to resign to? Jane. Okay, so when Jane says this, what are you going to say? And the more you can repeat that 3, 4, 5 times before they go to resign, the more prepared they are. Stimulus, response, question, answer. If they know this happens, say that. They say this, you do that. The more prepared for it they are, the better able they are to handle it. And it certainly doesn't come as a bolt out of the blue. It's not a shock, and they're better prepared to handle it. But there's also another one, because this is a tough market and we're recruiters and we get paid to recruit people. So we have a little bit of inside knowledge that most candidates don't have. So if I'm working with a candidate, for example, what I will say is, Dick, Jane, Spot, okay, we both know that probably your existing firm's going to come up with a counteroffer. That's great. But let me just, drop a penny in there for a sec, just a bit of awareness for you. I'm basically softening the point before I make it. Recruitment firms, they'll probably use a recruitment firm to try and find a replacement for you. And honestly, they're going to pay probably an average of 20% just to get somebody to start with them. That's sort of average for what they'll pay at a recruitment firm. And what that means is if you ignore completely the time it'll take and the hassle and the stress and all the rest of it, and the fact that they probably won't get a candidate as good as you anyway, but let's put all that to one side for a second. If they're going to pay 20% to find your replacement, if they come to you with a counteroffer that's less than 20%, they're quits in. They're actually taking the mickey because it's going to cost them that much to hire a replacement for you. Just a thought. Only a suggestion. Just bear it in mind. And then when the counter offer is really good, 15-20%, your candidate is prepared. They know what to say and how to say it, and they know that unless a counter offer is outrageous, it's the company taking the mickey. That is a prepared candidate, my friends. The last one is a big bugaboo, and it will become even more of an issue over the next 12 to 24 months. And that's candidates and clients having unrealistic expectations. They both do. That's why this market is so weird at the moment. It's normally tilted one way or the other. Not anymore. It's very much completely even, as in both sides of the equation are being unrealistic. There's lots of other words I could use, but I'll go with unrealistic. So what do we do about that? Well, the absolute worst thing you can do is try and explain the facts. Because if you've got somebody who has a belief and you try to out-argue them, all they will do is defend themselves. If they perceive that their opinion is under attack, they'll defend. And the more they defend, the more they dig themselves and entrench themselves into their position, into their belief. So the very worst thing you can do is try and show people salary surveys, explain the way the market is, talk about how long it takes you to get somebody on board. No, you can't do it, because somebody's belief is somebody's belief. But what you can do is get them to convince themselves. So let's say you've got a client who's looking for a 21-year-old with 13 years experience, 2 PhDs and lots of contacts in the industry, and they want them on minimum wage. Now, you could point out that it's physically impossible for a 21-year-old to have 13 years experience. It's, unless they're Doogie Howser, they probably haven't got old reference. The good doctor, whatever you want. They probably haven't got 2 PhDs at the age of 21. You could explain all that and they would just go, yeah, anyway, do your best. And what they mean by do your best is go find me somebody with 13 years experience and 2 PhDs and working for minimum wage. If instead you flip it on its head and you say, okay, within your, Mr., Mrs., Ms., you have far more experience in your industry than I do. So let me just ask you a question. In your current role, if you had somebody with 13 years experience, 2 PhDs, what would you expect them to be earning at the moment? Now they'll come back and they'll go, ooh, woolly, woolly, fluffy, fluffy. But when they start answering questions like that, they're undermining their own belief. They're opening a chink in their own armour in a way that you can't. There's an old expression which isn't entirely true, but it relates to this one, which is that telling isn't selling. You can't talk someone out of a belief. You can't tell a conspiracy theorist that their conspiracy theory is nuts, because they'll just explain why it isn't. You can't tell a candidate who's straight out of university with no experience in the marketplace, where the average person earns 30,000 as an experienced person. You can't tell somebody straight out of university that they can't come in as a complete novice and earn 40 grand as a base salary. You can tell them, but it won't have any impact at all. You've got to ask them, talk to them, get them to convince themselves. That's the only way you break down a limiting belief. And that applies just as much to you as it does to them. It's just a thought, it's only a suggestion. Really quick overview of the 5 most pressing challenges that recruitment consultants are facing at the moment and how to deal with them. If you want more information on that, if you look down in the description, you'll see a link there to a free ebook guide, which is to the 20 most essential sales skills for recruitment professionals. Now, that's a self-descriptive title if ever I heard one. Click on the link there, you just give me your email address and you'll have instant access to the download, completely free of charge. Copy it as often as you want, send it to as many people as you want, courtesy of me. If you've enjoyed this video, obviously put a like and subscribe and hit the bell. And also, if you want to ask me any questions at all of any kind, put a comment down there and I will answer it as quickly as I can do. If it's anything that's a little bit more confidential or controversial, your best bet is to contact me via DM on LinkedIn or DM on Instagram, and I'll come back to you as quickly as I possibly can. And also, if there's anybody that you think would benefit from seeing this video, feel free to share it with them, and that would give me a great big thumbs up from me, because the more people that see it, the more people that see it. And the more people that see it, the better YouTube thinks of me. And that's always good. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.